What if the financial system you've relied on for decades is silently shifting beneath your feet, and no one's telling you the full story? Right now, beneath the surface of headlines about inflation, housing prices, and the stock market, a seismic shift is unfolding, one that will redefine how Americans build, preserve, and pass on wealth in the coming years. While most people are preoccupied with the daily fluctuations of their bank accounts, a series of powerful policy-level changes is quietly rewriting the rules of the financial game. And unless you're paying close attention, these changes could either unlock new opportunities for your future or quietly erode the foundations you've worked so hard to build. Let's take a closer look at what's happening, why it matters, and how you can stay ahead. At the heart of this transformation is the recent passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill, a sweeping piece of legislation signed into law on July 4, 2025, by President Donald Trump. This bill doesn't just tweak the tax code, it fundamentally alters the American financial landscape. One of its headline features is the permanent extension of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, which means current tax rates remain locked in place. On the surface, that sounds like good news, especially for those who have grown accustomed to lower taxes over the past decade. But dig a little deeper, and the implications become far more complex. The bill introduces several new provisions that directly affect how Americans save and invest for retirement. For seniors, there's a temporary $6,000 boost to the standard deduction, providing some immediate relief. There's also a higher cap on the state and local tax deduction, which will benefit certain taxpayers in high-tax states. But these perks come with a price. The bill sharply curtails clean energy incentives, letting popular credits for electric vehicles and solar installations expire. For many, this means the window to capitalize on these green incentives is closing fast. Perhaps the most significant and least discussed aspect of the bill is its impact on wealth distribution. According to nonpartisan analysis, the tax cuts enshrined by the legislation largely benefit the highest earners. The top 0.1% of Americans are projected to save an average of $314,000 in taxes each year. Meanwhile, the Congressional Budget Office warns that the bill will add between $3.3 and $4.5 trillion to the national debt over the next decade, raising concerns about long-term economic stability and the possibility of future tax hikes to plug the gap. But that's not all. The expiration of certain provisions from the original Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is also on the horizon. Unless Congress takes further action, the standard deduction will shrink, the child tax credit will be cut in half, and personal exemptions will return. These changes mean that millions of Americans, especially those in higher income brackets, will see their tax bills rise, even if their incomes haven't. The days of assuming tax cuts are automatic or guaranteed are over. The new reality demands vigilance and planning. Amid these sweeping changes, a new generation of tax-advantaged accounts is emerging. The so-called Trump accounts, introduced by the OBBBB, are designed to encourage early financial literacy and saving among children. The idea is to plant the seeds of wealth building from a young age, giving future generations a head start. Supporters argue that this will stimulate economic growth and close the savings gap, but critics warn that the benefits will mostly flow to families who can already afford to contribute, potentially widening the wealth divide even further. All of this is unfolding against the backdrop of a rapidly evolving financial system. The Federal Reserve's interest rate policy is only one piece of the puzzle. Quietly, the digitization of money is accelerating, with central bank digital currency pilots already underway. If digital dollars become reality, the government could gain unprecedented insight into and control over how money moves through the economy. Imagine a world where your funds can be tracked, restricted, or even programmed to expire. Combine that with advances in artificial intelligence, blockchain-based tax reporting, and the rise of alternative assets, and it's clear, the financial system of tomorrow will look nothing like the one you've known. What does this mean for everyday savers and investors? The old playbook, relying solely on familiar vehicles like 401ks, Roth IRAs, and index funds, may soon be outdated. Lawmakers are eyeing Roth IRAs, long considered the crown jewel of retirement accounts, as a source of untapped tax revenue. Proposals to restrict backdoor Roth conversions, cap contributions for high earners, or even tax future gains in mega-sized Roth accounts are gaining traction. For high net worth families and hedge funds, the writing is on the wall. Many are already shifting away from traditional retirement vehicles, diversifying into real assets like gold, real estate, and private equity, or exploring cutting-edge digital investments. For the average American, this means it's time to get proactive. Start by educating yourself on the latest tax laws and how they affect your specific situation. Don't assume today's rules will hold tomorrow, especially as political and economic pressures mount. Diversify not just your investments, but your income streams. Look beyond the headlines to understand the forces shaping policy decisions, from inflation reports to digital currency pilots. And above all, recognize that the future of wealth building will demand agility, creativity, and a willingness to adapt. The truth is, this isn't just about saving a few extra dollars on your tax return or finding a higher yield savings account. It's about navigating a system in flux, where the definition of money, the rules of investment, and the balance of power are all up for grabs. Those who pay attention, anticipate change, and position themselves wisely will not just survive the coming transformation, they'll thrive. So, as the American financial system enters this new era, ask yourself, are you ready to adapt, to learn, and to seize the opportunities that change brings? Or will you be caught off guard as the rules quietly shift around you? In a world where the only constant is transformation, the winners will be those who see what's coming and act before everyone else.